Hi everybody. People have been asking me how I edit my images, so I thought I'd do a video of a full edit of an image that I took a while ago. As far as skin retouching goes, I use two processes. One for ease, I use an app and a plugin called Portraiture. I'll post the link at the bottom of the screen. And then the other one, if we've got the time, I use frequency separation, which I'm sure loads of you use and know how to use. But just for ease sometimes, and if the skin texture is right, then I'll use Portraiture. So I'll try and add both links to both of the plugins at the bottom. So this is an image that I took a while ago, and we're going to do a full edit on it and see how we go. So let's put you into screen mode and we'll crack on, okay? Let's go into Photoshop, and I did find it earlier, so it's this raw image. So we'll start off with the raw image itself. Okay, so that's the one of Beth. Kind of like that. Background's lovely, isn't it? Let's just zoom into 100%. Just check on quality. Yeah, that's lovely. Okay, so nice and sharp on the eyes, that's great. Let's take it back to 100% so we can see what we're doing. Not 100, let's fit screen. Fit view. So I'm going to first of all tell you what I think is, or think we need to change, and hopefully this will draw on. No, it won't. Need to draw on the image. Let's open it in Photoshop, and then we can come back to the raw version and start to edit it. So let's get a brush and let's put it in red. There we go. So I can now draw and show you what I'm going to do. Obviously, one of the first things we need to do is this softbox. Yeah, that needs to be cloned out. Then also she's in the middle of the screen, so we want to move her to a third, maybe looking in. So maybe we can either crop a bit or add a bit, or just take the height off, maybe a crop. If you can see the pointer like that, we'll have a look at the crop later. The other edits are, we need to concentrate on the brightest part of the image, which is her face, which is perfect. But then I want to graduate the tones down. So we'll look at a leading line, like maybe going up her arm, pointing towards her face. Yeah, we'll maybe look at these two bits of coat to aim towards her face, but this one is quite bright, so we'll look at toning these down, maybe toning that down a little bit or graduating it. That maybe needs to be lifted on the arm here for the tones. Certainly this white area here needs to be darkened down, and then we'll zoom right in and we'll have a look at the face and see what we can do, or see if anything needs to be done to the face. Okay, so let's edit and step backwards through all of those steps, so at least you know now what we're doing. And we'll go back into the raw image. There we go. So we'll go back into the raw image now and look at the light level. So filter and then camera raw filter. And okay, so we're not going to do anything with this cloning area until we get back into Photoshop. But what we can do is we can look at the light levels. So So what we use for this is the adjustment tool, adjustment brush. And like any brush, we can adjust the size of it. So we'll start off with this area of the fur. So we can change the size with the bracket keys, and if I click here to show the mask, so a mask means the area that I'm going to affect, and you can see it's gone like a very faint red pink colour, so it's just showing me what area I'm going to affect. I can actually erase part of it. You see where it's bled over there? We can just paint that bit back out and paint that bit back out, so we're just affecting that piece of the fur. Okay, now if I click mask again, that will disappear, but I'm still adjusting. If I turn it right up, look, you can see, and turn it right down, that that's the area that I'm adjusting. Okay, so let's just darken it down a little bit. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is, yes, it's gone darker and these tones are quite nice. Let's go down a little bit more. But then this bit here is a bit too dark. So if I erase this piece of the mask away, it should come back lighter. There it is, it's just come back a bit lighter. And we'll go again. So if I click mask now, you can see now that that area there is what I've been adjusting. Okay, so click off that, and I'm going to lighten this tiny bit here. All right. Actually, no. While I think, can you see here? It's a little bit greenish. So because that's lit there, it means I'm still adjusting that part of the image. So what I'm going to do is just move that green tint towards the magenta, and that's gone. That green hue has gone. Okay. So new means a new adjustment brush, and we're just going to lighten this area. So if I just paint this and then grab hold of the slider, and you see we've lightened it there. Okay, that's about right. And then again, just checking the tone of it, the colour of it. Okay, going to do a new brush again, so new, and this part here, and if you can see this edge, I'm just going to darken that down a fraction. So that's new. So I'm going to get the slider and just darken that down. I can even just get the highlights if I want, and just pull those highlights down. Okay. Right. So I'm quite happy with the way this graduates now up to a face. I'm going to do a new adjustment brush, and we'll look at these shadows here. If I again click mask, so this is the part that I'm going to adjust, and that's obviously in the shadows. So we'll click off that and then start to bring the exposure up a little bit. You can start to see tones come out in the hair. Then I'm going to get the shadow slider and we'll bring that up there, and we can see some nice detail in the hair. We don't want to overdo it, just want to get some tones and texture. I can add to it there. See how it went too bright there? Well, I can just erase that away. There. So we can see tones in her hair there. That's perfect. Again, new, and we'll do it on the other side. Just a little bit there, just to lift it. Okay. and then new again while we're in the same adjustment, and we'll just put a little bit of texture down here, and if it's too much like that we can just pull it back. There, that's perfect. Okay, so let's look at another one now, because we'll darken this hand. Now, when you're gonna darken something quite a bit, you'll see that you might get a tint come in of magenta or something. It looks dirty, so we can correct that later. You can see straight away that's gone quite yellow, this hand, so we'll see what we can do in the adjustments. That's better. So I've taken some of the yellow out and that's gone a bit darker. What I will do is I'll use the burn brush back in Photoshop and we'll pull out a few of these shadows, but you've got to watch that it doesn't get too dirty. Alright, I'm actually going to knock it up a little bit just to fall in line. There we go, that's better. Okay. Right, I think tone wise now that all graduates quite nicely up to her face. We'll look at this zip here, that's quite bright, we'll take that out. I think that's a little bit distracting. Maybe let's just do one more adjustment in here and we'll just pull a few of these shadow details out as well. So that's there you go. That's just a little bit and we'll just knock the exposure up. There we go. That's looking a bit more balanced now. Okay, I'm happy with that. We'll now open it in Photoshop, so just click OK. That will save all the changes, and there we are in Photoshop. Just out of interest to let you know, I'm using a Wacom tablet, not a mouse, and all the keyboard shortcuts as well. Okay, so first thing is, let's get rid of this softbox and we'll use the Content Aware tool. So the brush now, or the lasso tool is here. I don't want it feathered. I'm just going to go straight down and do that, and let's see what Photoshop does with. So edit, fill, Content Aware, which is that one. Okay, so obviously it goes away and does its own thing. We'll see how good it does it. We might have to do a little bit of alteration later. So that's pretty perfect, I think. Okay, let's look now then at cropping it. So she's kind of in the middle. Let's just I'm holding shift at the moment, and that's keeping the ratio of the crop. Okay, so I'm going to hit OK, and that's added this white area to it. So all I need to do is select that and then edit, fill, Content Aware, and that will then add canvas to it. Might do another little crop in a minute. We'll see. Okay. Yeah, because there's a lot of empty space there, so it might even be worthwhile looking at a square crop. There we go. Let's work on a square. I think that fits. Yeah, that fits better. Right, okay. And then now we've done that, we can fit screen. Okay. So I've just noticed there's a little mark there that we can quickly get rid of. So if we use this one here, which is a spot healing brush tool, and I think it's a bit of yellow or something, but we'll just quickly whiz over that, and that's gone. Right, okay. So let's look at this zip. There's another line there, just getting it perfect. There we go. That's nice. Right, okay. So let's just, while we've got this spot healing tool on, let's just select that and let it do its own thing. See what I mean? That does a pretty good job straight away, doesn't it? Yeah, that'll do. Okay. I think I'm going to get rid of this bit of hair as well, here. So let's go to 100%. And let's just see if we can remove some of it. We don't have to remove all of it. There is quite a bit there. And again, I'm using the healing brush tool and letting Photoshop do what it does best. And we'll just work that back and get rid of some of it. It's a tiny little bit distracting. And we'll just feather that away. So there's still a few hairs there, but not as much volume. That's better. Right, okay, and let's just zoom back out. Okay, so we've just got a little bit of darkness there. Let's just again sort the background out of that. There we go. So I don't think that's as distracting. Let's just see if we can lose a little bit more. There we go. That's better. Right, okay. 100%. Let's have a look at a face. So to be honest, there's not a lot of alterations I do to this. Maybe we'll just flick a few of these spots away. So frequency separation you can use, clone stamp tool you can use, healing spot brush tool you can use, but don't go mad. People go mad using skin softening. You need texture there. You don't want to take the features of the person away. So, do we take that one out? Maybe not. Tiny few lines in a head. You need texture, don't go mad. Right. I'm going to leave that spot there. It's almost like a beauty spot. We now will have a look at a little bit of softening. She doesn't need a lot at all. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a new layer here. So for that I do Command and J on the Mac, and there's our new layer. So I've got this filter installed, Imaginomic, and they do noise weight and portraiture. Portraiture we're going to look at. It comes up in a new screen and it should be set to default. and you can see the default has softened it already. Let's have a look at these. Default, normal, medium, high, glamour, tones, high key, low key. As a photographer, be your own person. Don't start messing around with filters. Don't shoot a low key image and then use a low key filter, or don't shoot a normal one and use a low key filter. It's not going to work. Just gently tweak what you're doing. Don't mess around with it too much. Okay, so let's have a look at normal, and you'll see here we've got a little graphic that tells us how much it's processing. And let's then click OK. So this is before and that's after. You can see there's a bit of a difference, so we'll click OK. Now there's a reason I did 2 layers. So you can see already, if I switch that off, on, off, on, it's just gently softened her skin. The texture is still here. But the reason I did 2 layers, because what we're looking at now is the background layer, which has got more detail. Now we're looking at the top layer, which is softened. So we'll leave them both switched on. I'm going to create a mask, and then what I'll do is I'll paint black, and what's black will show this underlayer through. Okay, so if I get a brush, we've got black selected. I'm then going to paint out the details. So her eye is a detail, the hair on her eyebrows is detail there, and it brings the sharpness of the underlying image through. Her lips, you can see now that texture is back. Just around the edge of her nose, that little spot there, the edge of her hair, because we don't want to lose texture in the hair. We don't want to soften any of this now. We want to keep all the texture. So over all the hair now, we'll bring the underlying image through. You can see as I work on the fur collar that the texture of it will come through. There. Texture on the jacket. So yeah, it's a filter. Yeah, I use it. But I think I use it correctly. There we go. So it softened the skin tones a little bit, but not too much. And what we've then done is brought the underlying detail back through. Okay. Okay. You can see the mask there. So the black is what I've brought through. The white is the softened area. So just a couple of little tweaks now, and then we've got a finished image. So this hand, still annoying, still a little bit yellow. So let's first of all bring those 2 layers back to 1. So we flatten the image and you'll see that 2 layers have gone to 1. Okay. Let's now select this area, but I want to feather it. And that means that if I just draw around it now, yeah, and let's just do a controller now, just so you can see. Come on. Okay. So if I do a control and L, you'll see the edge, and you can see how sharp it is that I'm affecting that area. So let's just cancel that and cancel that. So lasso tool, and I'm going to feather the area now. So we'll do 200 pixels. Okay, and then when I draw around here, that's not big enough. Let's do 150. Let's do 100 pixels. Okay, so if I do Control and L now and adjust the light in, you can see it's feathered. So when I make an adjustment now, it's going to gently blend it in. Okay, so the shortcut now is Command and B, and that brings up a colour balance palette. Now I can control the shadows, the midtones, or the highlights, and I can adjust the colours in any of those areas. So the skin here is going to be a midtone. It's not a highlight like in her eyes and on the face, and it's not a shadow like on the jacket. It's a midtone. So we've got midtone selected. So you can probably see it's quite yellow. So I'm going to get the yellow slider and move it just gently to blue. And I'm going to get that magenta and just knock it to green. So I think that's correct, the colour now. So we'll click OK. But that's gently blended it in as well. Okay. Okay. Let's have a little tweak now in liquify. And again, I'm not going to do too much. So it's just gently tweaking. So her neck line will just bring in a tiny bit. Her mouth will just push in a tiny bit to straighten that line. And I'm just going to gently, let's zoom in. I'm just going to enlarge that eye a fraction. But again, just a fraction, because if you do it too much, you're going to distort the curve of the eyeball. So it's just gently, and we'll just pull this one a little fraction. Okay. So if I Command and Z, that's the adjustments done. Okay. Right. Is that all we need? I think so. Just a couple of little tweaks now. I'm just going to get rid of that bit of the zip. And that's it. That's the finished image. That's how I quickly process a portrait. Okay. Any questions, let me know. Follow the links to the YouTube channel and subscribe. Facebook and Instagram, I'll post on there as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.